Welcome back, everyone. Mike McConville here again, Stratford, Ontario, Canada for StringTechWorkstations. So there's a couple of guitars, interesting guitars that we got in. This is a Schecter guitar now. So we got the Schecter guitar here. Now this is a completely different story than that last acoustic guitar. This is CGCFAD tuning. We'll start with the lowest string. Now this is an 11 to 48 set, so I can just kind of get this started. And then we can get enough string tension to kind of hold that nut in place while we do the rest of our filing. Now obviously you're leaving enough height in the crown of the nut. We've got lots of real estate to kind of play with as we move forward. That string tension will kind of hold the nut in place. Just sort of getting it started here. Okay, we've got a little bit more string tension on there now. Before we cut any values in the compensated nut at all, I want to have the lay of the neck, the string tension, and the truss rod kind of adjusted so that we get an accurate reading on the bridge as we set up the intonation there first. Now that we've got a good fit across the arch, we've left tons of crown height, way more than we need. Now I'm going to make my way across all 6 strings, and we're going to bring that down, at least so you got about 40 thou between the underside of the string and the crown of the fret. So as I make my way across here, I'm kind of aiming each string to its prospective post. So at this stage of the game, we don't cut any values into the compensated nut. We're getting the nut low enough to be able to get the typical string tension that'll be exerted on this neck with these strings tuned to this tuning. Once we've accomplished that, then we're going to go to the bridge and intonate the bridge, or intonate the guitar essentially from the 7th fret up at the bridge. As I'm filing this out, I'm kind of checking across the crown and making sure the strings are evenly spaced. So it's not actually center to center that you want, because those distances are logarithmic because the strings obviously get thicker from the 1st to the 6th. What you actually want is the space between the strings needs to be the same. And that's why I like to elevate the nut right up to the center of my chest. I got this thing up to nose level. I got a beautiful bird's eye view of as I make my way across filing. I just sort of correct as I go. I've mentioned this in other videos, but don't try and bring one string down to its final depth. Go across all 6 each time. Correct any spacing errors as you go. That's looking good. Spacing's really good. I'm going to bring you in for a closer look once I get it all finalized. Okay, so over to the 2nd string. Much better. Okay, I'm liking that. I'm going to bring you in for a closer look at this. Okay, this is where we're at now. So the spacing between strings is good. I'm very happy with that. The height, the distance from the underside of the string to the crown of the 1st fret, it's still a little high. So I'm going to just gently hone that down. I'll get my feeler gauge and check it as I go. Well, to reduce the strings from binding in the slot, we're just going to skim the crown of that nut down now that we've got the spacing perfect. Okay, I'm liking that. String spacing is good. Gotta move that over a little bit. This is why you leave that nut a little proud, both sides. That's the last thing you take care of. We're a long way off from taking care of that yet. So you can see we got that ledge is nice and tight. Okay, I have stacked a 16 and a 25 thou feeler gauge to sort of give us a read here. We're pretty close. So that's 41 thou, but about 40 thou is going to do it. So now very carefully file and check, file and check. We got a long way to go before we start cutting those compensated nut values. We definitely want to leave more than we need as far as height goes. I'm not using the feeler gauge each and every time. It's really for your benefit, just to give you some math to work with. I do this by eye after doing it for decades. And you're going to go through a few compensated nut blanks. I'm sure you guys have already gone through a few. But that's how you learn. I kind of go by feel more than anything else. You know, as far as this stage, I'm just kind of flexing that string, feeling how much resistance there is. I'm going off course a little bit. I brought that A string over a little too tight. Correct that while I still have some height to correct it with. Okay, now we're back on track. And we still got lots of height. Proceed with caution at this point. The filing process now is going to go very quick. We got a good tight fit. Now I need to nudge that 2nd string over a little bit. Again, you can see why you want to leave that crown a little too high. You want to have have lots of room for error. So the guitar is now tuned up to the CGCFAD tuning. Spacing is beautiful, and we've got about 40 thou of space underneath that string between the crown of the first fret and the underside of the string. Now we're ready to go to the bridge. So this is the tuning, CGCFAD. So it's the bridge we're intonating right now, not the nut. And octave. Next string, so you're tuning the fretted note. Good, and octave. Good, fourth string. And octave. Third string, 7th fret. And octave. Second string, 7th fret. And octave. And here's our first string, 7th fret and octave. I adjusted each of these saddles so that the 7th fret note and the 19th fret note are perfectly in tune. So we've intonated the guitar from the 7th fret up to the bridge. Now we're ready to turn our attention to the compensated nut, and we'll start cutting those values. Okay, so now what we're doing is we're fretting the 12th fret note, and I'm tuning to that note. That's it. And it's 4 cents sharp. The C note. 3 cents sharp. I'm tuning to the fretted 12th fret note. It's like 1 cent sharp. It's almost perfect. And that is 2 cents sharp. So I have my suspicions about that low C string. I'm going to check it again. Yeah, I'm going to check that slot and make sure that we've chased that right to the leading edge, and we'll come back and try it again. So that's all we needed, was to chase that right to the leading edge. So the 6th string. The 5th string needs to be cut back 4 cents. The 4th string needs to be cut back 3 cents. The 3rd string, we just got to barely breeze that. 2nd string's perfect, 6th string's perfect, and the 1st string needs to be just breezed back a little bit too. So here's our 5th string. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just that. Okay, that's 4 cents. The other one was 3 cents. Basically, a stroke of the file is a cent. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then there's the 3rd string, and that's just a little tiny bit, so I'm not going to get too rambunctious with that. The 2nd string is fine. 1st string is just a couple of cents too, so I don't want to get too carried away with that either. As you can see, I've kind of taken that crown down, so it's reduced the chance of the strings binding. The nut slots are much shallower than they were. So we're going to put this back on and check it again. So we're going to check that 5th string. The compensated nut was 4 cents sharp. So okay, we'll check the 5th string first. It's still 2 cents sharp. I'm going to mark it there, 2 cents. 4th string was 3 cents sharp, so let's tune it first. Well, I can live with that. And here's the 3rd string. Perfect. The second string was good, so the first string is the last one to check. We're on the home stretch with this one. It will be done by the end of the day. Frets needed to be dressed. The input jack was sort of cutting in and out, and I put a new 9-volt battery in for those active EMGs. Definitely confident enough now to trim back those two outside edges. So we're going to breeze across that 5th string and finish up those final values. Both sides. So this is it. This is the final call. It's now and only now that we cut back those outside edges flush with the fingerboard. Home stretch. I have to show you the size of the ledge on this guitar for that tuning and those strings. This scale length. It's huge. So we're going to tune this up one more time, and then we'll do the absolute last move, which is adjusting the string height. And this is the final moment of truth. And these are the final values that we need to address. Now we are talking about the displacement of pitch that happens when you press the string down to produce that first fret note. That's what we're taking care of right now. And this is the absolute moment of truth. So here's all the open strings and all the first fret notes. And we have arrived.